Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here again on March 15th, 2023. I stopped myself because I was going to tell you that I am not going to talk about the Ides of March. It's just too corny. Okay. So I did. Anyway, this is MarioTheRecruiter.com, and up in heaven is David M Marr. M-A-R-R. No domain name, although he should have one, as you know. That's what I believe. That is one of my absolute faith articles of faith. Okay, have a good domain name. Point it to your LinkedIn profile. That's my tip for everybody. Okay, now what about this? I saw that David M Marr. Everybody knows who David M. Not David M Marr. DSP. David Stephen Patterson, who is everybody on his recruiting group, Herc. He's like a god. Okay, and he uses this service called agencyleads.com. He said it's a great tool. I never heard of it before, and other people said it's fantastic. Does anybody heard of it?
I've used it before. I've used it before, in fact. Oi, Godfather! Listen, I have used agency leads before. Okay.
How does it work? How does it work?
Well, what happens is you subscribe to it. Okay. And it charges you about $600 a month to $800 a month. Okay. Listen to the best part of it. And what they do is they let you know, for example, if David's company is using a staffing firm, they will let you know on what position they are using it. That's it.
How does it detect that who's using?
I have no clue. They say they have some technology. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, so it does do an important thing about qualifying leads, right?
No. What happened was it also gives a lot of old data. That's why I stopped using it. 2021, in 2022 actually, I didn't renew it. All right, because what happened is they see, for example, if David M Marr's company hires Java developers 6 months to 1 year ago, they will have that information in the system. Okay, as if they're new, that's new information. Does that make any sense, or have I lost you there?
It's too old then, right? Is that what you're
so there are a lot of old data, stale data. And what happens is when we ask them what's the meaning of this, this shows us what kind of requirements they work on. So maybe you can reach out to them. For God's sakes, for that damn effing reason, I need to pay $600, $800 a month.
Okay. Ernie, I don't think would use it. Have you ever heard Ernie? You're freaking me out with that background. Okay. I'm used to your ceiling already. It looks like you're a tiny little bug sitting in the grass.
Exactly. This is
Ernie. You know, I tried to fix this purple thing, right? And it's black. It's a black shirt, and I tried to fix it.
No way. That's purple as purple can be. That's foodindustryrecruiter.com. Have you ever heard of agency leads? That's what we're talking about, Ernie. No. Well, we had a user here, and the only other caution I would say is that some people said it's good, but it depends on the niche you're working on, right? And I found that also in the contact finders, the email, phone number finders, they're good for certain niches or maybe certain geographical areas, and they're not equally strong across the board. Go ahead, Mario.
There's one more thing. They do give you contact information, all right? But sometimes the contact information is not up to date.
Just like the
is there one that's really up to date on the contact information?
No, see, I see so many. Ernie, think about it this way. I like the tool, okay, but it's not worth it for the money. They're quoting something $600, $700 a month.
No, but
I am not going to pay that.
No, he's talking about it. Okay, he's talking about agency leads, which tells you if a company is using recruiting firms, and he says their information about that is dated a few years, and their contact information also is dated. Now, Ernie's asking if just pure contact information finders are ever up to date, and David M Marr's up in heaven. He's got an answer for him. Go ahead, David M Marr.
Can I see your picture? Can I see you in person?
No, we don't need to see him. Okay, just speak. I'm giving you your chance. He disappeared. He's busy talking to God, I guess. Okay.
David M Marr, Dr. God, give me $1 million, please. Intercede on behalf of me, please.
Yeah, okay. Okay, look, you know what? I keep seeing these corporate recruiters who claim, oh, my company never lowballs anybody, and they never tell me that I should try to drive people's salary requirements down. And yet, here's the guy. I saw a number of these posted. Here's the here's the client tells the recruiter at the start of the search, my budget for this position is 130 to 145. The recruiter comes back, he says, here's a great candidate for 135. Sorry, it was the original fee range was 130 to 145. The recruiter comes with somebody right in the middle, 135. There's a month and a half of interviews, okay? They accept the candidate and they interview him. Then they say, we love this candidate, and they make an offer of 120. If your client came to you, say, listen, we want this person, we're going to offer 120. After you told them what the guy's requirement was, would you go back to the candidate with their offer, anybody, or would you say, look, shove it where the sun don't shine. I'm not going to work with you if you're going to be like that. Who wants to answer that question?
Joe, I was waiting for Mario to answer.
Okay,
I'll tell him that that's way too low.
Would you refuse to take it to the candidate and say,
yeah, definitely.
What would you say? What words would you use exactly? This candidate is going to say no to this offer. How important is it for you to fill this role? And why do you lowball the candidate on this? And would you, but if they said, look, this is our final offer, what would you do? I say, okay, fine. I'll present it to the candidate. And when he says no, don't blame me. Anyway, I'm contingent. So I don't give a shit. I'll drop the client. Okay. I won't book the position again. If I
got an offer like that, first thing I'd do is call the hiring manager or whoever was in charge. And I said, if you look at my notes that I sent you, along with the resume of this candidate, you'll find his minimum was 135. Now you're offering him 120. We've discussed this, and he's aware that you will make an offer of at least 135. Now, if I offer this to him, most likely he's not going to accept it. And it's a big waste of your time. But even more importantly, it'll set the wrong tone. If you really like this guy, and if you really, really think he's going to be a great fit for your company and will help you out, and we've been looking and we haven't been able to find anybody as good as this guy that will fit you, then you're going to find that this guy is going to be very upset and will probably look elsewhere, because you can understand he's probably got more offers, or he'll just wait.
And so you won't go back to the candidate and say, look, when he says, Ernie, what's going on?
I'd want to, at that point, get some discussion, say, I think you want to go back and redo this and figure it out. And then if you want to stick with this number, go ahead.
Be my guest.
And I'll forward it to him and I'll talk to him. But you know what? I cannot recommend it. And I will tell him that I had suggested you at 135.
Okay, I got two replies to that. David and Marr, I'll get to you if you have something you want to say. But just the first thing is, and this is what the recruiter said, the guy, look, I want you to tell him this is a fantastic opportunity. It's not just about money. This is a great career opportunity for this person. That's number one. Number two, I would suspect that if you were really caring about that candidate, you'd say, look, this is what they're offering, 120. Let's say you and I can kick them up to 135 like you required. Would you want to go to a company where they made that lowball offer and you had to push them to get to a decent level? I think that's a terrible red flag about working for a company like that. Back to you, Ernie. Do you have a reply?
Yeah, well, I would say let's go back to the beginning and what our situation is now with the industries in general. In the past, we used to ask a question of, why do you want to come work for this company? And that's where we were trying to get candidates to come to work for us. Today, that question is, here's why you should work for us. And you're thinking old-fashioned. So you need to move forward and really pitch them hard. Now, it's not a fantastic thing. I think you're just bullshitting yourself. And I would tell you also that if you're doing that, you're going to find that people are going to walk away from you. And the thing is, right now, even if he accepts it, I can guarantee you he'll still be looking, and he may leave in 3 months, 2 months, 1 month. He may leave tomorrow.
Okay, but would you warn the candidate, look, I think this company, they've told you, don't go there, even if they come up.
No, I think you're deserving of 135. They're offering 120. We've discussed it, but you may have a reason that you might want to come to this company for 120. I don't know enough about your background as to what's going on in your life, but it's your decision to make, and I'm forwarding their offer. So what do you want to do?
Okay, so you wouldn't scare him away. Anybody else want to address that? David M. Marr, before we go to Richie Rich? David M. Marr?
Oh, I agree with kind of Ernie's approach. You know, if our jobs is to know the market and know our candidates and go to bat for them. And if you tell them on the front end and they say, hey, I'm looking for 135 and they offer you 100K or something stupid, that's an insult. And I'm not going to take, especially if I'm an agency, I'm not going to take that slap. The client's taking the slap, not me.
So
And
you wouldn't even go back to the candidate and say, this is the offer. Is that what you're telling me?
I would position it like Ernie did. Letting the candidate know that I advised them against this for the offer that this offer that they wanted, the 135 in this case. But here's their offer and I'll send it along and decide what you want to
Mario, do you have an input? Mario, do you want to say something?
Nothing.
Richie Rich Rosen,
What's happening?
cornerstonesearch.com. What's up, everybody? Yeah, that's what Rich is into, that kind of stuff. Now, look, you got to the hiring manager, the client gives you the search. It's like 130 to 145. That's his or her range. You have a great candidate. They need 135 minimum. Okay. They interview the person 3 times. It takes a month and a half. Okay. Then they come. We love this guy. You're right. He's terrific. 120. What are you going to do?
I wouldn't make the offer. I mean, I would tell the client, I'm like, you guys are crazy. If you love the guy, you took a month and a half. Do you really want to lose him? It's going to cost you the extra 15 grand just to interview the next guy.
And what would you say to the candidate?
I would tell the candidate, I'm like, listen, they gave you an offer, but I think it's you're not going to accept it. I would tell them it's honestly, you know, I'd be embarrassed to give it to you unless there's more to the offer. I mean, if there's like a huge equity play or there's, you know, they're going to walk him into these amazing accounts that he's guaranteed, you know, a ton of money. I mean, there's different variables, but for the most part, I would kind of half-ass it to the candidate and say, listen, I mean, this is the offer. You know, personally, I don't think you should take it.
Okay,
Would you make a recommendation?
I'd make a recommendation to both the candidate and the client that he probably shouldn't take it, and the client should, you know, get his stuff in a row. I mean, why would you? You know, I mean, it's like I would. This is what I would personally do. I would tell my client, I'm like, why are you starting at the low end? No one starts at the low end anymore. It's not the '80s. You know, you got to come in with your best and your final at the beginning, not at the end. You know, it just builds rapport, builds some trust and loyalty that this guy knows you have his back. Otherwise, you know, you're already behind the 8 ball on the retention and the camaraderie and the whole. You know, you're going to be a sales leader or a leader that's going to remove hurdles for me.
Okay, but hold on. Here's the thing. If you're like acting sort of as a career advisor for your candidate as well, wouldn't you tell him or her, forget about this company? If they're lowballing you, who even cares if we can get them back up to the decent part? They're telling you there's something wrong with them from the start. Isn't that a big reveal?
That's too much of a generalization. You don't know why they lowballed you. A lot of times, just the CFO. I mean, it's a sign. I'm not saying you should ignore it, but most companies, I bet you 90% of the companies out there start low.
And you got to also look at from the candidate side. You don't know what he was making before. He might have been making 70,000, and he might have just said, "Okay, this is with a title, I should be paid 150,000." But instead, when you throw 120 at him, that might be the okay.
Well, you know what I'd say, that's you're true, Ernie. You might not know, but I'd say.
But the other thing,
the scenario you gave is very unlikely as well. The person will be that underpaid. It does happen, but not often.
But sometimes there's things like you need the medical insurance, you need this, you need that. Your mom may be in that area that you have to go to, that she's older and whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess there's a million of variables that could happen, but if it's just on the dollars, you know. I mean, I've lost deals for over $5,000. Companies are like, nope, this is it. This is all we're going to pay.
Yeah.
Some companies are just ridiculous. And
so Rich, when you talk to them and they do that, what's your percentage of someone changing? And put your pants back on, please.
No way. Come on. Whew. Gotta tie my shoe.
And, no, but I mean, what's the percentage that you would say when you're given a lowball offer that the client will actually listen and change or listen to your
I
advice?
think most times, I mean, not all the time, of course, but I think most companies are open. But I also set the bar at the beginning, and I tell the client, I'm like, listen, this is what this guy. If I know it's at the top of their range, I tell them. I'm like, and I usually try to pad it a little bit, tell them it's a little bit more, and that way
Yeah.
they know it's coming. And then at the end of it, as we're getting closer to it, I tell them all the time, it's like, listen, let's do the best and final at the beginning. I tell the client, the candidate too. I'm like, I try to avoid as much negotiation as possible. The offer I generally come to you with is going to be their best offer.
And the other thing too that is done here is that you're the recruiter, and at that point, you could just take it and like say, okay, or you can be that advisor and say, whoa, time out here. This is bullshit, and we need to talk about this.
Well,
And
can I just, before I forget, I just want to bookmark this. Rich said something that I've never heard other people talk about. They keep saying every time you have contact with the candidate, pre-close, say, has anything changed? Are we still talking about this kind of money? But what Rich just said, every time you talk to the client, pre-close, check with them remind them about the money. Is that what you just
not every, I mean, it's not in every conversation, but as we get closer to it, we want to make sure if they really like the guy, hey, listen, what are you thinking? If you like this guy, where do you think you get them starting to think about the numbers? And if he starts telling you it's 120 and the guy needs 140, you're like, whoa, what are we wasting time for then?
and the other thing too with that is at the beginning, when you do get the job search, you probably want to figure out what the target range, what their range is, number one. Number two is their target. And then the third thing you ask them is, if I find somebody that's higher than your top pay, do you want me to send them to you? Because I will. And then you tell me no. But that's what quality costs.
And it's part of that consultation with the client is trying to explain to them, hey, here's the market. Is it worth for you to get a much better person for a couple of pennies? Yeah, and you break it down to the daily cost, which like $2 extra a day or whatever it is,
But something else you said before I forget, that I also found interesting. You said you tell them up front, you advise them, look, when you make an offer, don't lowball this guy. You warn them about that right at the how does that come up? When does it into discussion or when?
It comes up when they start talking about offers. I mean,
near the end, but it sounded like you tell them right at the beginning. Okay,
during the discovery call, I'll have that conversation with them as well. But everyone forgets everything, so you remind them when it's appropriate throughout the process. Every time they bring up money or salary, if they ask me about it, 2 interviews in, 3 interviews in, I'll bring it up again and say, listen, I mean, our goal is to give them one offer, not to go back and forth. And saving yourself pennies to risk someone, especially the market of the last couple of years. And I still think even in this current market, you need to give the best offer, not because there's not more options for these clients out there, but it's not worth their time. The amount of companies, you got to break it down and look at how much does a typical company spend on interviewing, like the wrong people, number one, and the per hour cost. If you've got 5 executives interviewing and they're making $200 an hour and they're doing 15 interviews, it's a lot of money.
So, and that's where you go back to at the beginning, you got to figure out what the pain is, what they're trying to fix, what they're trying to do, and why they're trying to hire this person, and who's doing that job in between.
Exactly. David M Marr, do you want to get in on this? Anything else you have to add?
Nothing.
Okay, Mario, do you want to say anything? Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. Here's the situation. I'm going to move on to this guy has a very good client. He's making lots of money from them, and they lowballed. Okay. And he said, look, why don't you give, I think they offered 120, something like this, a different story, but he said, why don't you give him a signing bonus for $20,000? They said, okay, but we'll take that $20,000 off of your fee. The fee is $54,000. So he's still going to get $34,000.
That's a big fuck no. God,
Yeah,
why would you
exactly.
do that?
to make the placement.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Considering the long-term game, I think it's not a bad
no,
idea.
it's a bad game all around. I mean, it's one thing if it's like a grand or something like that.
Yeah,
20
yeah.
grand? No way. That's like half your fee.
Yeah, he should counter it. You can take 5K from my fee if you want. Give me the
I
rest.
would counter you can take a grand off. I mean, like,
Yeah,
you want the guy or you don't. I mean,
Well,
that's
now
just
you know.
that's just piss poor business. Dropping your pants, lowest common denominator. I mean, that's ridiculous. Why would you do that? It's like saying I should pay for the guy's flight to go fly for his interview.
So there is an old saying in sales: never give up anything without getting something back in return.
Hmm.
You
So
better
then
get
you're-
something amazingly back.
Never split the difference.
So then your question becomes, maybe there's no guarantee. I'll do all that shit. There's no guarantee. Give me three exclusives going forward or whatever. But you don't.
I mean,
you don't do it. You don't do it because
you don't take 20 grand off. You put 20 grand towards the next 3 placements, maybe. That's something like that. But you would never take 20,000. I mean, you got to be desperate as hell.
Okay, hold on. That's another Rich Rosen strategy I just want to lay out. So he would take 20 grand, divided in 3, like $6,500. He would take them off the next, each placement, he'd give them a reduction of $6,000.
You make sure
right?
you're the exclusive
Yeah,
on
but
the
that's-
three.
See,
I mean, that's a lot of money.
That's,
Yeah,
I mean, I would
that's
never
very
do 20
smart.
grand, but that's a lot. Yeah.
Go
But the
ahead.
principle's there.
Go ahead, Mario.
no, but that's very smart. He's ensuring that he's going to get another at least 80K for the 20K. That's a 3-time return on the 20K.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's a
mean,
decent
if-
ROI.
Or you ask for some sort of engagement fee for the next three or 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you get that engagement fee right now.
Yep. That's the
Yeah,
only
I
way
think
you
his idea of the signing bonus, it's ridiculous anyway, because what's going to happen in the next year when the salary is $20,000 less? It's stupid.
But you know, a concern there too is what financial shape is the company in? And are you going to get paid? If they start bickering about this right now, you got to wonder about whether or not they're even going to pay your fee.
They're a good client, he said. I can look it up, but he's made a
You can-
lot
you
of
can-
money off of them. That's what he
See,
said.
But you can be a good
Listen.
client, and all of a sudden the people change, the company changes.
Silicon Valley
Yeah.
Bank was a great client for someone, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah, you just
Wednesday was a lot different than Thursday.
They got the
Okay.
bailout, right?
What?
Silicon Valley got the bailout, right?
They got a bailout. They're not calling it a bailout, but I'm curious what happened with all the executives that sold all their stock. Did they
Yeah.
sell it to pay people at Silicon Valley Bank, or did they sell it because they knew this shit was going to hit the fan? Because all
Yeah,
these
some-
executives sold like 20% of their position in the company.
There's something very screwy going on. We'll see.
Well,
what happens.
the same guys that were running like Lehman when it crashed were running Silicon Valley Bank.
Really?
Holy crap.
There was like 3 or 4 of them. There was like 3 or 4 guys were very involved with both.
Okay, what about this
Yeah.
one? I'm
before
sorry,
you
go
leave,
ahead.
before you leave that last question, your answer should be automatically no.
Yeah.
I don't do that. And then just shut up and wait for the response.
Okay. Okay. It's always a temptation if someone's a good client to kiss their ass. Okay. Not for Rich, apparently.
No, I can I tell you, I had one of my best clients. I mean, I was honestly upset. I had this guy was a client of mine, a candidate of mine for years, like probably 20 years. And I placed the guy, he became the CRO. I already had a deal with another guy in the company at 25%. This guy years ago, we had done a lot of stuff at 20%. This is a big company. This is, almost $1 billion company. And this guy, I closed the deal and the guy's like, you gotta take money off. And I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, this guy had like invested in charities for me and like fundraisers and stuff like that. I had done stuff for him. It was we're talking $5,000. And I just have a principle. I don't negotiate at the end of a deal. It's done. We're not negotiating afterwards. I'm like, I offer the same thing. I'm like, I'll take $5,000 off, the next placement, $2,500 off the next 2 placements, stuff like that. I mean, this guy I made a lot of money with over the years. And he was rip shit. He's like, no. He's like, you got to take it off of this. And I was like, I can't. We're done. And he wouldn't explain why it was such a big deal. $5,000 for basically $1 billion company. Why it was going to be such an ordeal.
Thanks, David M. Marr.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else heard that term "rip shit" before? I know.
So Rich, did he ever explain why?
No, like
And
I mean,
you don't deal with him anymore.
no, we finally reconnected after a couple of years. Like, I mean, it was really upsetting, actually. I mean, I thought we were like personal friends. Like, I couldn't believe this guy's asking for, it amounted to 20% off the fee.
And the thing is, some clients, you've never seen them, you've never talked to them. You've never seen them in person, but you talk to them more often and you know them better than
Oh yeah,
closest friends.
oh yeah. I mean, we would talk all the time. That's why I was shocked that he was asking for it, and I tried to come up with every scenario under the sun. So he came out whole. The fee average would average out 20% over the next, bunch of fees. He wouldn't budge on anything. So I'm like, dude,
I would have given in. I mean, there's no way I would have walked. If the guy's a good client over a long time for $5,000,
it wasn't. Well, the new company was at really wasn't a good company. It was a solid B player. It was a bunch of washed up people that went to this company, which is good and bad at recruiting. It's a kind of an easy placement in some respects, but they're also trying to phase out outside recruiters too. So I don't know how much more business there really would have been there. And that's just the principle of it. Like once you give in.
Well, no, it's not just the principle based on what you just told us. You didn't count on them for a
no, but I would have for a client, like a friend that I considered a friend. I tried to do everything I could possibly do that we all win at it.
And if he was here, he'd say, look, the guy was my friend all these years and he wouldn't give me a $5,000 discount.
I don't know. I don't know. Too many people are going to give their buddy a $5,000 discount. It's $5,000 out of my pocket,
Okay.
But
now
it's also one of those things where, why didn't you bring it up before?
Yeah.
What the hell?
And that's a negotiating technique, last minute, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. It's a sucker's negotiating tool.
But
but it's also, why would you? I still don't to this day. It bothers me because why was $5,000? Why was that percentage going from 25 to 20 such a major deal for a fairly large company?
How much was the overall fee?
I can't remember. I think it was like it was like 25 or 30 grand or something like that. I mean, I forget what it was exactly, but it was it amounted to $5,000, whatever the.
But did they pay you?
Oh yeah, I got paid.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
I want to move on. I want to move on. I need a lot of clips now for LinkedIn. You guys are getting a lot of publicity from me. Nobody ever likes it except some of us. But those are good tips. I had a tip from Rich today for 30 seconds. I can't remember what it was, but it was good. Whatever it was. Rich had a big fee agreement drama himself.
This you like that yesterday?
You want to tell me to tell it, or are you going to tell it?
Yeah, I like your recounting. It's always fun to get your spin on it.
Oh, well, I'll use your own words, okay? Rich says, I just had a VP of sales call me. He was desperate for a candidate, and it was a challenging role to fill, okay? 3 other recruiters had already failed. They were not able to fill it. I have the person they're looking for.
I really do have the person.
But he won't sign the fee agreement. Go ahead. You take it from here.
He wanted to see the candidate without signing a fee agreement. I'm like, well,
it's a contingent search. Yeah. He doesn't have to pay anything unless he hires. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. He's like, oh, it's time. And I'm like, dude, trust me, my time's valuable too. I'm like, I've got the candidate. You've been looking for months. I'm like, why would I don't understand. I'm like, don't you have people sign agreements when they use your software?
That was your weakest because he doesn't have people sign agreements.
No, but that's bullshit.
He can pull the plug on the software.
No, Animal, wait. Animal, no. Animal, Rich, wait. When you use a software, you agree to a set of terms and conditions.
And there's no way they're doing it without an NDA of some sort, unless it's just cheap software you're downloading off the net. You're not doing 6-figure deals, highly complex DevOps related sales without some kind of agreement. It just doesn't happen.
So how did it end up?
What?
How did it end up?
He's basically like, I'm going to keep working with my other recruiters. I'm like, you should probably send me your resume because if this is your business tactics, are going to be out of a job.
Well, hold on. This guy, he should be out of a job. It was absurd.
So
I agree.
Let's go back here. This VP, does he know you?
No, he is. He just newbie from the industry, so my name had got referred to him.
Yeah, so. Sometimes if they're out of your industry, they don't know how to play the game. And
no, he's a head
this is a no-brainer, Bernie. He had 3 other recruiters fail.
Bernie,
this kind of person.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
But-
but I mean, the fact is you signed the fee agreement, there's nothing to it, you got 25% or 20%.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom, let's go.
It costs you. That's what I tried. Like, it costs you nothing. Even if
Yeah,
I'm
I-
lying to you, which I'm not.
Hmm.
What does it cost you? 30 seconds? To
If you
sign
want
this?
to, if you want to
True.
dance, you have to ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I'm like, so I asked him, like, what happens if you don't if you hire the guy and you don't pay me? He's
Hold
like,
on, Mario wants to pat you on the back. Go ahead.
No, I agree with Ernie because we screwed up in November by working a search without getting an agreement signed. And after presenting the candidate, they signed, we didn't present the full candidate, okay? I agree, we screwed up, all right? I just wanted to work with these people and there are a lot of red flags. I didn't take that into account. I just wanted to, start, let's work with them. But what happened is after we presented the candidate, okay, we need to get the agreement signed, so we give them the details to interview them. All right. And then they came up with the term that unless you put a non-refund clause, a refund of money clause, we will not go into the agreement. Now, the sad part is we put in 3 months effort to find that damn candidate. Software engineer with the secret clearance, okay? Front-end developer, right? And that was a tough search, okay? But the best part is we refused, we hashed it out, okay? Then they agreed to our terms. We also signed up. What happened after that? Because the delay in signing the agreement, the candidate backed out.
but just after 3 months of searching on it, that you got the
Yeah.
agreement signed?
Yeah,
hurt.
that's right.
That
It was
hurt.
a mistake. It is actually a damn. Pardon?
As it starts, as it goes, my friend.
Yeah,
That is-
exactly. Because
always
the
the rule.
principals, what the funny part, the principal said, okay, I didn't negotiate with the principal. Unfortunately, negotiate with the stupid assistant human resources manager. All right. Next time on the call, if it's not the principal, I'll say, listen, I'm not going to talk with you. I'll talk with them.
Yeah, I mean, you got to talk to people that can actually say yes to things.
Exactly, because the
Yeah.
principal sent back a message saying, unless you should present some candidates, we won't know if you can present candidates. I want to ask them, but now I will ask going forward, is this how we do business? Question mark.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I just signed a contract with a big company that I only because they acquired an old company of mine, and the guy, he wants to negotiate over email. I'm like, dude, we don't negotiate over email. It's a losing battle.
It's
So,
an utter losing battle.
we eventually got it. Took them like 3 weeks. They got everyone on the call. We finally got the contract signed. That literally the whole process took like 9 weeks to get a contract signed.
Jesus Christ.
They're ridiculous recruiting chants, like what they changed to fit most of our terms anyway. But I mean, some of these companies are they're just nuts. But
Okay, to go before we leave that, Rich had some good lines I didn't give you yet. I left it for him. Okay, they're very straightforward, and it should have settled things. So Rich said to the guy, "So what happens if you hire him and you don't pay me? Without a signed agreement, I would not have a leg to stand on in court." Okay, that's just laying it out as straight as possible. And the guy says that would never happen.
no,
So I
never,
like
never.
what Rich said next. Do you write the checks? No. And just he does. You see, you don't know what anybody else above him is going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They need a contract. It's
I
and that's
agree.
why. And then everyone's commenting like these blind resumes. Blind resumes are the biggest waste of freaking time.
See, the problem is, Rich, I'll tell you something. The guys who sometimes give advice in the group are not working in the same scene that you are working or I am working. All right. We don't send blind resumes either.
They're
I made the
not
mistake
working.
once.
Period. If you're saying blind resumes, I mean, listen, everything can work once in a while. That whole broken watch
Yeah.
thing is work
Yeah.
twice a day. I mean,
Yeah.
but blind resumes are the biggest waste of freaking time in recruiting.
Or maybe, how about a candidate blurb? Wouldn't that make more sense?
Sure. I mean, but that's NPC marketing. It's great.
Yeah.
Here's a blurb. Here's what this guy's accomplished. Here's why I think you should talk to him.
Right.
Now, when you say blind resumes, what do you mean?
Taking off the names, the titles, the company, like stripping the whole thing down.
No, but,
It takes 10 seconds to do it. Like Crelate does it for you even.
Yeah.
But it's just a waste of your time. It
Let him
doesn't
tell us why
But-
it's a waste and why it doesn't work. No, I want to hear from Rich, but
Yeah.
before someone comes in there, tell me why.
because it does nothing. What does it do? The guy's gonna look at it, try to figure out who it is on his own, number one. Or he's gonna look at it and say, that doesn't fit. It's
So
that
what you-
simple.
So what
It's
you
just a blow up conversation usually.
So what you're recommending is it's okay to do a post that's kind of a summary of that person's highlights.
It's
Take the time to do that instead of just trying to fake a resume.
you can make a mass video. It says, you know, hey Ernie, hey Mike, hey Mario, and it just automatically does it and give a spiel about someone. Mass email that thing out, or do a mass mail with, hey, to everyone that this guy's going to fit, and do an MPC email, which is, I personally think, is a great way to recruit, you know, or to get jobs. You know, package it up. Here's this. I've got this amazing candidate who's done X, Y, and Z. I thought he could be an absolute slam dunk for what you're looking for, or for your open head count. And so, I mean, the problem is some people just don't believe you have it. That's just the unfortunate part of it. But you call them up, you follow up with a phone call, and it's amazing how you can convince people.
And the truth of it is, what you should do is you should really have that candidate.
You really, you should.
Yeah, if you don't have the candidate, what's the use?
That's the trick. Most people just make it up, and honestly, even when I call in with MPCs, the chance of me filling that, actually placing that, or the amount of times I've actually placed that MPC isn't very high. It's 10, 20%, maybe.
So then you do the MPC, the guy calls you and says, hey, yeah, man, I want to talk to this guy. The guy takes another job in between. What do? You
do the search. You got to get the whole details on the search. You got to get your contract signed. That's the whole point of doing an MPC. You'd love to place your MPC, but you got to get a contract still. And to get the contract, now I need the details on the job.
Yeah,
so
but hold on, with the delay, they could say, there's two things I want to get out here. First of all, if that happens with the scenario Ernie just gave you, then that reduces the client's trust of you. They could think, well, yeah, he doesn't have the MPC anymore, the good candidate. He was faking it. That's an obvious assumption.
As soon they can, but they're going to think what they're going to think either way. The point is, you called in with someone.
Not if you supply the person, not if you send them out.
Well, I mean, listen, that's the point. You're not supposed to lie about it. You should actually have a real candidate.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you have to delay. If there's a delay.
No. Hang on. The delay wouldn't be on my end. The delay is on the client's end, getting the agreement signed. That takes like a week half the time.
And the other thing is that once you get that candidate, you don't know if they're like 3 days away from getting an offer that they really want.
I mean, that's what, but you can always preface your pitch like, hey, this guy is active. He is looking at opportunities. You just put it right in there. Who cares? I mean, but all you're doing is showing, hey, listen, I know your space. I've worked in your space. I have candidates that are in your space. Here's an example of someone I'm working with right now. I think would be a great fit for you.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
And then how do you end it? How do you end it?
How do you end your note, your email? Yeah. I just say, if you're even slightly interested, give me a ring.
Okay. The other thing is, so when you say the blind resume, they're going to try to figure out who it is anyway. Well, yeah, they have to do a little figuring. But if you feed it to them, the person's name, and they got the company right there, you're just making it too easy. They don't have to do any thinking. They just have to look up the phone number.
I mean, now you're not supposed to give them the resume.
I mean, listen, I think most clients are going to go try to figure out who it is? Probably not. Will they give it to their internal recruiters to do? Maybe. But it's just it comes down to the same thing. Without an agreement, and especially if it's a contingent agreement, it costs them nothing to sign. I mean, all they have to do is just, if they don't want to work with you anymore, just don't take your calls anymore, and you got nothing.
Sure.
It's I mean, so it's a dumb way to do business. It's a dumb way to think, especially from a sales guy to salesperson. It's embarrassing when I hear VPs give me this stupid line, but it's the first time I've had it in a couple of years, to be honest with you. But it's just it's just one of those irritating things in recruiting. It's just like, really, this is how dumb you really are. You're desperate for someone. You're telling me how desperate you are. And even if I was lying, what would it cost you to sign it? The sad thing is I really have it. So I'm trying to find another way in. But
well, what's that? You're going to his boss?
No, we go to his boss, or go to another peer that's actually going to be the hiring manager, because there's sales reps and there's sales engineers and things like that. So this is the joy. The thing is, you just have to have someone in the company sign your contract. It doesn't matter who. Like, my contract's very general. It's
what's the title of the person that you're dealing with that was giving you all the bull?
That was VP of sales.
Okay.
but it's a
It
young
wasn't a
startup.
nobody. It wasn't a nobody.
No,
okay,
no,
but he
no. I
did
mean, this
write the
guy's
check.
like, he's right at the top. But it doesn't mean that this role would help support him, but it would report to him.
Okay,
He
so
was
he
just
doesn't
trying to run a
have,
point
he
on
doesn't really feel it, right?
So,
Okay.
well, he does
Something
need it. That's the problem, because without these guys, his reps would fail.
Something
That's
else
right.
that Rich said a minute ago. He said, I like to send out a mass email to everybody saying, look, this is-
Personalized mass.
Yeah, okay. It puts your first name in it,
There you
okay?
go.
Your mask.
Okay, he sends that, but this woman, I saw this woman on LinkedIn. She said, when I send a unique message to each person, I get a much better response.
That's awesome. But the 7 people she actually sends an email out to, yeah, you get 3 people, 2 people respond. That's fantastic. But I can send an email to 100 and get 20 responses. I don't know. I'd rather have the numbers. If you can personalize things,
See,
the more personalized, the better. But who has time?
But the personalizing, all it takes is just to insert a name, maybe, and
Animal-
that's about as personal as you can get.
guys, excuse me, I've got a question. Does she make $1 million a year? That's the
Bingo.
I
question.
don't know.
Yes, she does. She
Ah,
does.
that's what matters. If she does make $1 million a year, then it's good. That's her business. We will follow what works for us.
But everybody has their own system, and
Yeah, I mean-
everybody relies on what their system is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you have enough time to truly personalize every email, and more than just their name, but really personalize it and make it's awesome.
See-
I got ADD. I can't handle that.
No,
That's why I use a fax machine.
There you go.
Yeah, it's even better.
And your rotary phone to call.
See, Rich, guys, it might depend also
Better.
what she's working on, right? If she's working on a very high level CEO position,
Yeah.
where there are only 5 to 10 people who do it, you can do that.
But
If
Absolutely.
you're working on a
in
general front-end engineer position, you can't do that.
at the bottom line, no matter what you throw out there, somebody's going to say something negative anyway.
Yeah, gives a
Exactly.
shit. We're recruiters. I
Yeah.
think we're the most loved salespeople on the planet.
Yeah.
All you have to ask is, what's the best ATS system? What's the best system? And everybody else
That's so
with their own. And,
sad.
no, I hate this one. I hate that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
next topic, or you have more to say about this? Anybody?
It's a fun one. That was a good question.
It is. We'll go back to it. We'll revisit it again. But these are, I have to admit that these antics are unbelievable. Okay, some of them,
Crazy.
especially Rich's good little drama. Okay,
Yeah.
and he's followed the Ernie rule. Just pick up the phone and move on. Okay, say goodbye to those guys. Okay, this person said he was hiring for a project manager for a construction company, but he had an ad or an outreach. It just said project manager. He got 300 responses right away. They were all IT project managers. He said that proves to me that people don't read past the job title. They see the title, they have a reflexive response. And that told me that maybe in the subject line of any email, or the first thing you put in the email, should be the specific job title, because that's all they're going to read and decide whether they're going to reply to you or not. Am I wrong about that?
I missed the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's people don't read. They read snippets, and what they see project manager important to them. So they don't really care what kind.
But a lot of times, even if they read it, they still apply.
How about if you
And
say that
that's also takes it into splits. You have people that you tell them, this is what I want, fellow recruiter, could you send me somebody? And they'll start sending you stuff that
Oh God, it's so annoying.
it's a mess. And that's why people
Jesus
hate
Christ.
splits.
Yeah. Well, I keep trying to work with a couple of split partners, and I'm like very specific. This kind of background, this many years of stability. It's what's going to work for the client. And it's like every day, hey, would this person work? Or here's a profile. I'm like, I'm not doing your fucking job. I'm like,
Rich, you should actually hire a team. I seriously
Oh,
say
God,
you
no.
should hire people.
And Rich, in those kind of situations, have they already called him, the
no,
candidate?
of course not. They want me to approve it before they call it. I'm like, what do I need to split it? I told her if you send me a LinkedIn profile, I'm just gonna I'll give you 10% moving forward. I'm like, either do your job or don't. I'm like, if you don't want to work on the split, don't work on it. But don't send me people to look at for no reason.
Rich,
So
Rich, I have a
therefore-
question.
Wait,
Oh,
hold
sorry.
on. Therefore, a split includes an actual call.
A call and a
Obviously,
resume.
And a
You know,
resume.
See, a
Yeah.
call, a resume, notes on the candidate, any pertinent information that matters, that's what considered a split. Now, and following up with the candidate post the interview, making the offer to the candidate. That is considered a split in our opinion. Rich, I want to ask you a question. You said 10% of the overall fee or 10% of the 25 to 30% you're sharing?
Yeah, really, it should be 10% of their fee, of their half, but yeah.
I remember, I think Rich told us in the past, even when they do call I might be wrong, but I think he said when they do call the candidates, they still send them some lots of
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous.
They do. It's embarrassing, and I can understand why. Like this dope who didn't want to sign the contract. I get it, because honestly, as dumb as I think this guy was, it's understandable why clients don't like us, because the masses are losers and horrible and don't do their job and just send garbage. I mean, I hear from clients all the time. Like the guy replaced a recruiter at this other company, and this guy was like literally the 11 resumes in a row, never made it past first interview. Like, I mean, they didn't even know why they were screening them. And like this is what the masses of recruiters do. They just, oh, it's got a keyword like Marr said, or you said, the guy had project manager in it, so I sent them out. And they don't have any context of what they're looking for, or what makes someone good.
You would let me post that in LinkedIn, because I don't want to embarrass you. Would you let me cut that out and post it there?
We'll check it. You edit it. We'll check it before you post it.
It's going to sound the exact same way. Okay.
But I think what Rich is saying is the truth. I mean, my experience with, even when I worked with an internal recruiter, as an internal recruiter for about 6 months, it's just terrible that there's so many people that apply for jobs that aren't even qualified, and the computer rejects 90% of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's too bad, because this is an awesome profession if people just actually put a little effort in, just a little, not even a lot, just a little.
But the whole thing is you got to continue learning. I mean, you got to keep looking, you got to keep watching your YouTubes, you got to talk to, you talk to people, you listen to podcasts, you just learn.
Well, that's why I got to tell you. So Pinnacle site's got a couple of open seats. That's what's so great about Pinnacle, is you're always learning. You're always getting
what
better.
You're talking about is not learning anything. It's just doing something that's not dumb, totally dumb. I mean,
but that's learning.
Talking about people who are just.
But I think a lot of people,
they can't put a puzzle together, a simple puzzle.
Sadly, that's learning, though.
But a lot of people don't even know the basics of it. They think, how many times have you seen that one person that was an HR assistant, and all of a sudden it's their internal recruiter?
Yeah.
And then they can't figure out why they can't get a job anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, that's why there's a big push now for Talent Act to report to the CEO. They get it out of HR, because it's not an HR function in reality. It's a sales and marketing function almost.
I have worked
operations.
I have worked with people that have come into HR, and I tell them, okay, I want to teach you recruiting. They go, oh, I'm doing recruiting. And they go, not the way we do it.
Mm-mm. No, they just respond to people on LinkedIn, or whatever. But whole another.
Ernie, it's a little late in the game, but could you take away the top of that lawn? Yeah, thank you. Okay. Actually, this background.
Oh, wait, I don't have my pants on. I'm sorry, Rich.
Oh. This background suits Rich very well. It's much better than what he.
I can change.
You don't like my map?
I had
really,
one that had
better.
the background that was really weird.
Oh, that'd be a nice view, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Downtown
Well,
Boston.
actually, let's go back to the first question asked Rich if he's ever heard of agency leads, because your friend DSP was raving about it.
Yeah, I heard him. That's where I heard about him from him.
Mario thinks it's too expensive. What do you think?
I don't use it, so I don't know.
See,
How much does it cost?
It costs about $600 to $800 a month.
A
But
month.
listen, it's not just too expensive.
Let me ask
The only
this.
sorry.
Zoom info is
You
Zoom
guys are like on
info,
a bad date.
Rich, is Zoom info worth the money?
No,
Okay.
Hell no.
not even close. Not even remotely.
You had to cut
Well,
off
actually-
Mario for that. It's his turn now.
No.
No.
Which is
Yeah,
the
fine.
best one?
Well, come back to that. He was
It's
talking.
an
you changed the
amalgamation
topic
of multiple
entirely.
tools that make up the best one, Ernie. A
No,
combination of 10
We're
to
just talking about some
Okay, but
porn
this is
site or
different.
something.
Agency leads is not primarily a contact information finder. It
Yeah.
tells you which companies are using recruiters. Okay, that's what Mario told us it does.
Yeah.
But he
Well,
also
it's
told us
only-
that it got into porn of some
Yeah,
sort.
yeah, no.
If I
Okay.
get into porn, trust me, it'll be hentai. Okay, nothing else.
Poor.
I like
Did
hentai.
you say be hands free? Is that what he said?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tell Rich what
Wait.
you wanted to ask him a question. Or
Wait,
tell
I
him
have a que-
something.
wait, I have
I'm
a
trying
question
to
too.
give you a chance to get it
Now
out.
Rich is interested in this
No,
one.
yeah. Now you got the porn. But have you had success out of agency lead? Not aside from your porn.
No, nothing at all. That's why I said it's a waste of time.
Did you
No,
want
no,
to
we
say
got one
something about
client,
it?
but we didn't get anything out of it. See,
Okay.
it may not have worked for our niche. It may work, you never know. But
Okay.
the information wasn't up to date. And this one second. I used it in 2021. So I don't know what the update is right now. So, as Rich said, maybe a watch can be right twice a day also.
Mhm.
You never know.
Ernie wants to know what the best contact finder is, right? Is that your question, Ernie?
Yeah, I
wrap
mean,
up the show?
what do you
They're-
use,
they're-
Rich?
You got like Mario's a good listener, because it's like I say, you got to have a bunch of them. Like I use Swordfish, Lucia, Chatterworks.
Rich,
I use
I wish you said that to my wife.
yeah, what Chatterworks.
No, that I'm a good
No,
listener.
but he listens.
Apollo is good for business stuff. Apollo's a cool little program in general. I mean, but they're all the same. They all pull from one or two sites, So
And then Jonathan Kidder came up with something on. He did a nice little post of all the extensions, the Chrome
Yeah.
extensions.
I mean, that's things a zillion of them. There's free people search and true people search, fast
Being
people
verified,
search. What?
being verified is very good.
Yeah, but they're slow and expensive, aren't they?
Yeah, no, they're not expensive. They're pretty cheap. They're like for 100 contacts, you pay like $14 a
For
month
400 contacts.
for 100 contacts. But these are like if you can't find them on anything else, you can find them on Being Verified.
I mean, if they're that good, that would be my first place to go.
Yeah, just go check it out. But it's slow, Rich. It'll take time.
Yeah, that's the problem with when they're slow. It's just a waste of time. They kill me.
I asked my
Yeah,
guys.
that's
to
when you
use
need
it,
an
so
admin
it's
to
okay.
do that stuff.
Yeah,
But
and my guys.
the like pre-contact tool is probably the best one, but they're slow. But
Contact.
yeah, they're slow and they're
Pre-contact,
probably the
yeah.
more expensive one. But if
Swordfish is too costly, right?
no, Swordfish is nothing. You pay like I don't know what we pay $800 for like 2,500 credits or something like that. I don't know what it is.
But the down and dirty of it is overall to run a business, we don't pay a lot of money.
Exactly.
We don't pay a lot of money
Yeah.
at the end of the year. Maybe you paid 20,000 at the most to
Yeah.
run your business. But
If you've gone crazy, you spend 20 grand.
yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking overall everything, but if you spend 20,000
Yeah.
and to start a business, other people will think nothing of spending money.
Yeah. No, I
To
mean,
start a grocery store, to start a warehouse.
oh God, yeah. I mean, this business costs pennies to operate.
Okay, but let me ask, before you guys leave that contact manager one. If you only had one you could pay for, which one would it be?
For contact for enrichment. I mean, I don't know, because I pay for two of them. It's like the only thing I pay for, quite frankly. I used to not even pay for them, but
Which ones are you paying for?
I pay for Lucia and I pay for Swordfish.
Okay,
And
so
those
those
are-
are your
and
top
those-
choices. That
Yeah.
means those are your top choices?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would agree. And I think if you talk to the gurus of recruiting, they would tell you those two were the best ones because you hear
Really?
that from all of them. Yeah, Swordfish.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your niche, your niche and your geo sometimes too. But for the
Mhm.
most part, they're as good as any. I mean, Rocket Reach, they all have like none of them are perfect. They're all 70% accurate at best.
And
Did you hear that, Mario? What Rich pays for?
No, I kind of missed it.
Just Lucia and Swordfish are the only two I pay for.
Yeah.
But
You don't pay for
Maybe he only
Chatterbox?
pays for them because he can't get those for free.
I used to get them for free, actually.
Rich, what about Chatterbox?
I
You used to
had
Chatterbox,
dropped
right?
Swordfish for a while, so now I don't get it for free anymore.
What
So
about Chatterbox?
Chatterworks is good. I mean, I put some money into it, so I get it for free. But I mean,
Okay.
it's
Oh, you
it's
invested in
still,
it. That's nice.
they're still growing. I mean, I think it's going to be good. That's like the first thing I check is Chatterworks, to be honest with you, because it's quickest one. But it's like anything else. It's like 70% accurate right now. But they're trying to build more than just an enrichment. They want to build a whole program with a platform where you can find the enrichment, send the emails out of it, almost like a mini ATS in some respects. He's trying to build a pretty big thing out of it.
Well, and you said Apollo.io is bigger than contact managers. What? you
Yeah,
said
they do a lot more too. I mean, it's a
Like
pretty
what?
cool little program for search,
Why?
for research. I used it a long time ago, and I just started using it again, but I haven't used it fully. But you can do a lot of research on there too. It's almost like Crunchbase combined in there. So you can get a lot of insight, a lot of enrichment, more business email than personal and stuff. But
Enrichment
Pretty good.
means more info, background
And
info.
another one is Lead Delta.
Well, Lead Delta is also own. They also own Closely, which are both deals on AppSumo right now. So Closely, you can spend the same money and get the, they're working on a LinkedIn campaign manager as well as an email campaign, outreach program, and you still get the contact data as well. So it's the same database they're pulling from.
So Closely is on AppSumo, and that's a good deal. Is that what you're saying?
It's $70. I mean, that thing for $70, $60, $70. Some of these are worth buying and see what they turn into, even if they're not great today.
And that's a lifetime guarantee.
Yeah, like I bought Outplay.io for $50 like 5 years ago. I mean, now it's $70 a month.
I got it for $49.
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah. I bought Lead Delta for 100, and I think it was 150.
Yeah,
There's
now
another
it's
tool.
like
I got another tool for about $20, no, $60. I think use Artemis or something. That's another lead generation.
Some of these AppSumo deals are still only good for a year. They're not lifetime.
Most are good for a lifetime, though.
Most are lifetime.
Yeah, but some are a year or shorter. But yeah, but most are most for a year. I mean, most for a lifetime. So there's that in Product Hunt also. You can find stuff.
Just save your receipt.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Anything else? We're ready to close, I think.
That is it, my friend.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
See you, Animal.